Hi, this is David Kazai with RM Innovation. I am here with Steve Day. Steve, give me a little bit background about what you used to do.
What I've done through most of my career is data analysis, helping companies save money by digging deep down into their historical data to help them make decisions for their future.
So before we get deep into that, I want to bring a distinction between Excel sheet and database. Tell me, since you are the expert, or
Sure.
what I call Excel guru.
Excel guru.
Yeah.
Well, for me, an Excel spreadsheet really is a repository of information. You plug it in, it stays there until you use it for something. It really is a static bit of information or storage of information. It has limited reporting. It has, it's clunky to use. I find it's very powerful, and it has its place. But in terms of its scalability and its, I think, usefulness to plan for the future,
So
somewhat
since
limited.
most of our audience are not Excel guru, I want to frame this conversation. My understanding of Excel is refrigerator, you open, raw material, database, prepared dishes with all the spices and everything in it, all you can eat when you want to eat. So let's talk about that.
Absolutely. An Excel spreadsheet, it has mountains of numbers. It has thousands, if not millions, of lines of data, just raw data. If you don't know what to do with it, it's just numbers. It's just one number after another. It doesn't tell you a story. It doesn't provide you any answers unless you ask it the correct question, and you have to know how to do that.
So what you are telling me, going to the refrigerator and self-service, you need to be a chef. You need to be a good chef to know what is in your refrigerator,
Yes.
get the raw material,
Yeah.
right formulas called macros. What are macros?
Macros, I think, to use that same analogy, would be like a recipe. You would write a formula that says do this, do this, do this, and hopefully it gives me the answer I want based on the data that is involved.
So it is then reasonable to say we have a chef that is expert in Italian food. We have a chef that is expert in French food. You need to know the recipes in and out.
You do. And they're hard to learn.
Very good. So coming back to refrigerator, now I'm going to go to freezer. So when you go into the freezer, there are things that frozen over time, and there is a chunk that look like meat. And you take it out and you bring it to your Excel sheet and you write a formula. As Anne freezes, you realize the previous chef left his boot in there and over time became
Right.
frozen and
Absolutely.
looked like a chunk of meat. Is that reasonable?
That is absolutely true. I've spent many hours crunching numbers on a spreadsheet only to find out that it just wasn't the right information. It was polled incorrectly to begin with, but you don't know when you're looking at 32 million cells of data that it isn't the right data.
So when we say cells of data, data could be month to month for the last 10 years, and you want to go in here, not write macros, but also write pivot table. Tell me about pivot table.
Pivot tables are ways to sort and rank information out of a huge table. So if you have multiple locations over multiple months or years, you can run a pivot table and it'll tell you which one did the most, least, fastest, best over that certain time frame. They're very complicated to run, and building a pivot table really just sets it up. And then you have to actually create the pivot table from that. Very few people know how to do that.
Oh, then you are telling me you need to be a super chef to do
Absolutely.
this. So I want to give a context to this conversation. Who did you work for?
I worked for Avis Budget Group, rental cars, and
National.
international, actually.
International, okay.
Sometimes we would go back 40 and 50 years to pull information to run reports. And sometimes those spreadsheets ended up with 30, 40 million lines of data.
And you also worked for another.
Kohl's department store.
And what did you do over there?
Process improvement, still running reports to help make better decisions.
So what are you telling me? Data is what management make decision on.
Yes.
If they
Good or bad.
Good or bad. Hopefully you provided good data for them.
Right.
So let's understand this. Data that you brought to the Excel sheet came from where?
A database, typically.
So you needed to understood the relationship of these
Yes.
tables. Really become familiar as a chef.
Right.
What is salt? What is pepper? What is sugar?
Right.
Right?
Absolutely. And
Mix them together with the right ingredient and raw material, chicken versus beef.
and either way, you're going to get a result, even if you do it wrong.
So if you wanted to make beef stroganoff, you couldn't pick chicken.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So you sat down and you wrote what you call
A query.
query. The query, depending to their database, you needed to learn that database set
Language.
of language to write queries. Pull data out. Pull data out, hoping for what?
Hoping that you had some usable information, hoping that it worked, hoping that your connection to the very, very tightly secured network didn't crash overnight. These queries could take up to 24 hours, 36 hours to run, depending on the volume. And at
And
the end,
hoping after 36 hours, what?
it worked.
It worked to create a result, to pull this data set, to put in an Excel sheet that you still now had to go get. You just got raw materials.
Absolutely just a bunch of numbers.
Write the formula for it
Right.
in macros and put pivot table, make some graph out of it, give it to decision makers and say, hey, decision makers, this is what's going on.
Right. And
Historical data is showing you how you have got here. Now we can predict based on this historical with some specific KPI, we can project future. We can correct the course.
absolutely. That's the intention, I believe, of every company. It's really a very dark science to come to those conclusions. They had to wait for you to get that information. You had to work through your IT department or data security department to get it.
No. Sorry. I want to make sure we frame the conversation and give it context. Go to IT department. You mean the gatekeeper?
The gatekeepers of
So-
the information.
Every company you worked in had gatekeeper. Gatekeeper was the IT department and the data department.
Yes,
And usually these two don't work together.
they don't.
So makes your life
Very much difficult.
very much difficult. So
Yeah.
the end of the day, management is hiring a bunch of business analysts, usually more than one. Is that
Several.
reasonable?
It's not many, if not
Several.
dozens.
These people need to have a great relationship with the gatekeeper of technology and gatekeeper of
Right.
the data to
Right.
provide information for the decision maker.
Right. And this whole process can take days, weeks, sometimes a month or more between identifying a problem to what do we do to solve it, what data do we need, how do we get the data, who's going to allow us to get the data, now what do I do with all of this data?
This is Fortune 100 companies.
Absolutely.
This is not the small
Billions of
retailers.
dollars at stake.
Very good. So what do you do now?
Now I work for a rug company. I manage a rug store in Lexington, Kentucky, and I use the software RMPro Ingenuity to instantly get those answers and that information to make decisions, not just weekly or minutely or daily. I use it all day,
Instantly.
instantly. Two
So,
or three clicks gets me.
Why
what
did
to,
you take this job?
Because
you come from business analyst, you don't know anything about drugs, but you understand business and how
The needs
a
of
business function and what you need to measure. And if you can measure it, you can manage it. If you can manage it, you can grow it, right?
Right.
Why did you take this job?
when I was introduced first to the software, all I could see was my future and how much easier it will be. and how much more successful it would be, because all the tools that I've been fighting and scrapping for, and my bosses have been scrapping for and fighting for, now it's just a couple clicks away. It's actually faster than I can think that I need it. It's already there.
So I know you have been working in this company for a couple months, and your adult training has been around gathering data, analyzing data, and make data meaningful. So I have seen it quite a few times that at night your brain functions, you take certain KPI, you come next day and say, I want this, I want this, I want this. Have you run into any situation so far that was not in the software at a couple clicks?
No, not at all. There's been a couple times, there have been some humorous moments where I just haven't got that far in my training, where you just pointed me where to go, and there was the answer, already there, already thought out, and actually formulated in a way that would have taken me, had I even got what I asked for, might have taken me another day or so to process.
Thank you very much. With this, the main reason that you came in was your passion to share this with them.
Absolutely.
That's what you told me.
That's
the reason I'm taking the job. I don't want to run a store in Lexington, Kentucky. I want to share this. Day one, you told me, hey, I can go and sell this.
Yes.
You remember?
Businesses need this.
So why do they need this?
Really and honestly, it's to level the playing field. A small, independent company can compete with a multinational company because they don't have to hire a team of accountants, CPAs, MBAs, data analysts.
So, thank you. When you work for Fortune 100 company, you were making six-figure salaries. And thank you for being passionate about this, that you took a major cut in your salary to come share this with our community. That they have a team of six-figure people into the software.
Right.
So everything they need to see at one click, at one glance, at everything you need to see at one glance and a click away. It would take him and a team of people to put all this information at your fingertip. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And I think one of the better features that I enjoy is smart analytics and smart growth, where not only can you look to the past, but you can actually project into the future. You change a few parameters here and there, and you can see what changes you need to make to achieve the goal you set.
So based on my conversation with you, the most impressive tool was smart growth.
Yes.
Because you look at historical data month to month. There is only two ways to grow your business: number of invoices and average invoice. If you're really good, you grow both of them. And when I showed you this tool, we saw there was a pattern. Januaries were very much different than April. April was very much different than August, and August was very much different than November, and we had historical data of number of invoices and average invoices. And based on those, and bringing the marketing and advertising into it, we can pretty much predict your revenue with this tool, plus minus 10, 15% so far your experience.
Yes, that's about right.
That's why it's called RMPro Ingenuity. The genius is no longer, with all respect to you, is not in Mr. Day or people like Mr. Day. The genius is in the software. And the simplicity of it has caused the democratization of data. That means data is available for everybody, from management to marketing to advertising to merchandising to sales department. That's called democratization of data. That everybody across the organization have access to data, and through collective knowledge, collective intelligence of the team, we can easily predict precise future.
I agree. And that's what brought me. As soon as I heard that.
Thank you very much. We will continue this conversation pretty soon about more detail of the software. Thank you.